All right, today is Wednesday, July 8th, 2020. This is the Kubernetes CSI implementation meeting. So the main topic for today is code freeze for 119, which is tomorrow. So let's jump right into all our 119 items. Let's see, there is this bug fix that I am tracking. It doesn't look like this is going to make 119, or at least it's not going to make code freeze. The PR author is not responding, so this is something that I will try to follow up with in potentially a patch release if possible. Let's see, I have some cleanup work in the external provisioner that needs review. This doesn't need to make code freeze, so but I will work on trying to get a review for this probably this week or next week. And likewise, this bug fix up here is needed to fix this flaky test. I think it's not going to make code freeze, so I think I'm going to move this back, and we'll have to target that for 120. All right, next up is Patrick.
So I think we are ready to merge CSI storage capacity tracking. The last remaining thing that you pointed out yesterday was the changelog and end-to-end testing. I updated the changelog and the end-to-end testing in the alpha job have passed. So I think that PR is now, the implementation PR is now ready, and Tim already approved it. He's just waiting for your looks good to me comment.
All right, sounds good. I'll just sign it off after this meeting then.
Yep.
Awesome, thank you.
Tests are all also clean, which has been a bit tricky the last few days or so for me in my PRs. I think I've seen lots of flaky tests.
Yeah, I think overall, like, there's a ton of jobs that are really flaky.
Yeah. Okay, but it's clean currently, so we are good. Generic ephemeral inline volumes. The good news is that Clayton has been responsive this week, and we've gone through some design questions that he raised. We've polished the API description in the last few days, and I did another update today where I'm waiting for feedback from him. The implementation is complete as far as I see it. So I've not done this one thing here. Actually, I can tick off one of these two items. The ephemeral controller does now emit errors as events for the pod, so that can be checked. The missing PVC, that is currently a usability issue. I left it as it is. So there is a warning right after creating a pod about the missing PVC, which could be avoided with some more logic, but I rather keep the implementation as simple as possible at this time and polish it later. And I also have a patch ready for customize, but that kind of depends on whether that feature actually goes in with it before I submit it. So overall, depending on how much more feedback I get, if Clayton is fine with the API and says so today, then I guess the next step would be to get approval from Tim for that feature. And yeah, then it could also go in, I hope.
Okay, sounds good. And Jan, you have also reviewed the stuff.
That's a good point. Yeah, Jan has been looking at the implementation, and I've pointed out a few things that I fixed. Jan, anything major now, or anything that you haven't looked at? Is it ready in your opinion?
I think it's in pretty good shape. I didn't check the API stuff thoroughly, but the casual glance, it looks okay to me. And the implementation, the controller, and the end-to-end test and unit tests, they are okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, and we solved the did we solve the chicken and egg problem with the PVC protection?
Yeah, we did. Jordan pointed out that it is valid to look at the deletion timestamp and the grace period in combination. If the grace period is 0, that is also a valid signal that kubelet is done with a pod, because it's the kubelet's job to reset that to 0 to indicate that the pod can be deleted. There is one other case where it can become 0, and that is force deleting a pod. But one can argue that even in that case, that really means that the user wants to proceed with deleting resources for the pod. And therefore, in both of these cases, we proceed with removing the PVC protection finalizer.
So one possible problem is that the grace period indicates when the containers will be terminated, but not when the volumes are unmounted. So like after the grace period, kubelet's supposed to terminate the containers, but then after the containers are terminated, kubelet still has to unmount the volumes. And if we don't give an additional grace period there, then it's possible that the volume will get deleted before we unmount it, and then unmount will basically hang and fail forever. And that's the race that actually I have been debugging in this test flake.
Okay. This is not quite what Jordan said, told me. So we might have to go back to that one then.
Yeah, I think we can. It doesn't need to block the alpha, but we should revisit this and try to see if we can find a different way to solve this this ordering issue.
Okay. Yeah, the alternative would be to have some additional signal from kubelet to via the pod that it really is done. I didn't want to add something unless it's absolutely needed.
Yeah, so today the signal that we get is the pod kubelet deletes the pod object entirely.
Yeah, but that's a bit, as we found, that's too late in some sense in this particular case. So it's reliable, but it's too strict. We need something in between, where the pod is still allowed to exist, but we still get the assurance that it's safe to proceed.
I guess what was the problem with trying to delete the PVC after the pod gets deleted?
The ownership relationship and foreground deletion. So if someone asks for foreground deletion of a pod, the pod doesn't actually get removed. The pod object remains until all of its resources that it owns are also gone. And because the PVC object then remains because because of a finalizer, and the finalizer doesn't get removed because the pod doesn't get removed, and therefore there's a cyclic dependency, and nothing gets and both objects stay in API server.
Okay. Yeah. So okay, that sounds like a valid scenario. So yeah, we need to figure out like some other signal then to use. But yeah, we'll have to think about that.
Yeah. Given what you just said, that this is not actually reliable, then I need to make one more change in the current implementation. I have this change in the PVC protection controller unconditional because it sounded like the right thing to do. We can theoretically get into that cyclic dependency situation already now without CSI storage capacity. No, sorry, wrong topic. Without generic ephemeral inner volumes. If someone constructs something with the right ownership relationships, that can get stuck today already. Why they would do that is a different question. It probably never occurs, but theoretically could, and therefore I included this change unconditionally. I'll put it under this feature check then.
Sounds good. Yeah, and I think if we're I haven't looked at the PR, but if we're changing like other controller behavior, we should make sure all of that's under the feature gate.
Yeah.
All right.
I have one more related topic here. I created a test infra PR to get the alpha jobs enabled also for generic FML inner volumes. It's in the notes for today under PRs needing attention. I think it makes sense to have that feature enabled in the GC alpha job now because the end-to-end test is in the PR, it's just not getting used. Same
Okay.
as with Csi storage capacity. So Michelle, if you can comment on that PR, and then we need to get the cluster folks again or the cloud provider folks to approve it, then we have that change.
Okay, sounds good.
And last but not least, I also need to get the documentation ready, which I've been stalling because I just didn't know whether it's actually going in. I'm currently rewriting the pending doc PR that I have for Csi storage capacity because that now seems very likely. And I need, well, it's probably beneficial if someone with a technical background goes through it in addition to the document doc reviewers. So
Sure.
any
I think
volunteers?
docs PRs are due next week, I think. So we still have some time.
They are asking. I think the PR was supposed to be ready for review yesterday, and they accepted that it just takes a bit more time. The actual deadline for it needs to be merged is next week, I think Thursday, but I kind of negotiated now that a submission, final content on Monday with a few days for review, that this should work.
Yeah, I can help with that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay,
I can also help with the docs, but probably not until after code freeze.
Yeah, we are talking about after code freeze, so I think I'm revising something. I might have something today, depending on how long I want to continue. I might post an update to the PR tomorrow, and then I'll just CC you guys, and you can decide whether you want to have a look.
All right, sounds good. Thank you very much. All right. Next up, we have this recovery from save volume data.
I think we didn't have any update from the PR author again on this one. I did have a chance to open it myself, update it myself. So we'll try to get this as a bug fix or something.
Yeah, we can potentially get this into a patch.
Yeah.
If we need to. All right. Cool. Let's see. Next up is image publishing. I think we were just waiting on the vanity domain flip. I still haven't gotten a chance to ping people about when the expected timeline will be, but I'll try to get to that after code freeze. We'll skip over Windows. Next up is volume health.
Yeah, so there's someone working on adding tests. So he said he's going to submit a PR by the end of this week. So I will check. And I need to submit a PR to do the new images. Because the cloud something, that file, need to get that file. So you said
the cloud build?
Cloud, yeah. So do you just import that from the release tools, right? It's not really creating a new file. It seems like I look at
it's
the snapshot importing from.
Yeah, it's just a symlink to the file in release tools.
Oh, okay. Okay, maybe I'll check with you and see how to generate that PR.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
All right. Next up is snapshots.
So the requeue fix PR was finally merged. Yeah, so that one's merged. So the only thing that I was trying to get in is this move API and generate decline. thing in, but I think Kartik still have some problems. I asked him to take a look of the K-log. So he looked at that, but he said he still could not get rid of the V2 path. So, so I think we need a little bit more time to look into this. I know that Patrick, you want this, you like to have a release by the end of this week. Is that the timeline that you're looking at?
I mean, we can do like an RC or something, right?
Yeah, RC, yeah. So we could do that like maybe Friday. I just wait for a couple more days on Friday. I can cut that release. Is that okay, Patrick?
That is good when I have something on Monday. Right now I'm focusing on the Kubernetes work. The snapshot release is relevant for the external provisioner and the PR that produces CSI storage capacity, which has a kind of more relaxed deadline.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. Yeah, I'll do RC release on Friday. Okay.
All right. And did we haven't resolved the E2E test problem yet?
Yeah, it's still ongoing. I see that there's a few other folks are reviewing that, but then I think Christian was looking at it. Basically, he sees that the driver got uninstalled early is an issue. So
yeah, the sidecar controller is getting torn down.
Yeah.
Doing some of the end-to-end tests, but I haven't had time to review that logic since I've been trying to get the FS group included.
Yeah, so basically the change that Andy has made is he's now waiting for the PV object and the volume snapshot content object to be deleted in the test case itself before we get to all the after each things.
I think that's the correct approach.
I think so. After his change, we were comparing the timing of it. Before, like the host path test used to take like 5 minutes, and the PD test used to take like 10 minutes or something. But now now after his change, the tests are taking like 3 minutes faster. So I think it should resolve at least some of the cleanup ordering things going on.
Okay.
Like looking at the deletion thing, the driver getting turned on before the snapshot gets removed. The one way this could happen is we wait for 5 minutes before for the test namespace to be deleted. If the test namespace like took more than 5 minutes, then we still go ahead and delete the driver namespace. So it's possible that like we are waiting for the content to be the snapshot to be removed, and it's beyond 5 minutes, and then the sidecars are removed. So it could be a timing issue.
The other thing is, because if we don't, at least for the PV part of it, if we don't wait for the PV to be deleted, then it's possible you can tear down the driver before the volume gets deleted. And actually, I don't know what issue that would cause. That would just cause the volume to be leaked. But
and what volume will be left, will be leaking. And then for some driver, then they also have problem deleting the snapshots. But he's testing with the GCP driver, right? Oh, host path. Host path should be fine. Host path is like, it's like a folder. A snapshot is probably like a folder under the volume directory. So
I guess,
probably.
yeah, maybe then Hamon's scenario maybe is like, if for some reason deleting the snapshot actually takes like more than 5 minutes. Well, I don't know. Anyway.
The issues that I've seen have been with the host path driver.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I would be very surprised that a host path driver would take more than 5 minutes, but anyway, hopefully Andy's change will help a little bit. And I guess maybe after his change, we can still see if we see this problem.
Should we try to get this one merged by the deadline? I see that he is waiting for Matt. Is this guy Matt?
Yeah.
Has been in this.
Yeah, it'll be good to get that merged. I'll ping. So both Psychot and Matt are on my team, so I can ping
Okay.
them or sort of on my team, not really, but I can ping them to review it today.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Anything else for snapshots?
That's it. I think is is this also Andy who is going to work on the webhook
The
for validation? Or is it somebody else?
Yeah, Andy was going to work on the webhook too. I'm not
Okay.
sure if he started yet.
No, he's probably busy with the tests.
I might be doing both at the same time, but
Oh, okay. Yeah, Xianchen said there should be a design doc, so I haven't seen that yet. So
okay. All right. Next up is volume expansion.
Okay, so yesterday I pinged Tim and Jordan to look at the recovery one. And yeah, Tim is still reviewing it. Saad approved the recovery PR, but yeah, we need approval from API reviewers, and I don't have it yet. And Tim is saying that we added the allocated resources field to pvc.spec to track that quota, and he's thinking about it. And I basically followed on what we are doing for inline pod resizing spec, sorry, enhancement. And Jordan's suggestion was to add it to PVC spec, but yeah, I'm not 100% sure if what Tim will say. And if he says to move that to status, it will be kind of last minute, and we'll have to see.
were they involved in the CAP review?
They weren't.
They were not. Oh,
They were not. They were
Oh.
not involved in KIP
Well,
review. Actually.
Jordan, I mean, this was like sort of
Jordan's idea.
this
Yes.
idea was after Jordan talking with Jordan.
Yes, absolutely. I have emailed from Jordan, and we discussed and we summarized this at KubeCon, and he sent me an email summary. But the problem is that Jordan is not reviewing this CAP now. He's Tim is reviewing the CAP, and not CAP, sorry, the PR implementation PR, and but
yeah. I think if they're seeing this for the first time, I was also looking at that, thinking that looks. I mean, at least the naming seems a little weird, right? So if they're looking at it for the first time, they probably think about it for some time.
yeah, I mean, it does sound, but it made sense, and but we'll see. I don't know if you want to move it to status, then we'll have to change it to. I don't like the idea of moving, having the status populated with unbound, populated with allocated resources for unbound PVCs, but we'll have to do that. And we could live with moving it to status, but I need to hear back from API reviewers basically. And then I am working on PR for canceling. No, sorry, not canceling. For like that, I should be out today. For it fixes two things. If the kubelet sees volume in use error, then it will not retry. And the other one is like that Ben raised a concern, which was like if you read write many, you have a volume and you're trying to expand it. Expansion only happens on one node. It fixes both these issues by tracking the desired size and required size separately in actual state and the desired state of the world. It's not a huge PR, but it's a little bit is there. But I should have it out a couple of hours. If we can get it in for 119, that'll be great. If we cannot, then we can consider patch release or 120. I don't know actually.
Okay. Is Saad reviewing that one?
No, that's not out yet. The second one. I'll
Oh,
just.
okay.
Okay, so I'll just have it out in a couple of hours, and then ping you
All
and
right.
so. Yeah.
All right, cool. Thank you very much. Last up, Christian, you have the CSI driver changes.
Yes, we discussed this quite a bit in the previous meeting. I have, during this call, I've updated the names to what we agreed on. I've updated the PR with the proposed names. The major concern is that it still needs API review for these names, and then it does not have an E2E test.
Okay. Will you be able to like put together an E2E test today?
I can try. I'm doubtful that I'll have a working one by the end of the day, but I will try on it.
Okay. You can probably take a look at the way we do some of the attach tests in the CSI mock driver.
Okay.
Although I'm not sure, how does that verify?
Yeah.
How do we actually verify stuff?
Yeah, this stuff will be tricky to verify. Actually, I don't.
Does it verify the calls?
Hmm?
Oh wait, but this is
It can
this is a
verify.
kubelet call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a kubelet call, not a mock driver call. Yeah, this might be hard to do an E2E test.
Yeah, I'm tempted to like. Yeah, we can alpha implementation. We can live without one.
I'm not sure if the mock driver actually doesn't do anything. It just creates a directory, if I remember correctly. And then kubelet changes the ownership. So you can exec to a pod and check if if it has the right owner.
But this
you can, the local PV tests do this, so you can probably take a look at the local PV test to see how it's checking the FS group on the volume.
But this is about permissions, right? So like, are we going to say that, okay, we'll set it to, no, maybe we'll can set it to unsupported and then have it like not set right permissions. Pod can crash or not start properly. Can we do it that way?
Well, the pod will still start up, right? It's only when the pod tries to like read or write the volume, then it will fail.
Yeah, yeah. So we can add a health
So
check
like,
or something else.
yeah, or I think what the local PV tests do is it actually execs into the pod and verifies the permissions on the directory.
I can take a look and I will try and get one working. I am hesitant about it being a fully working E2E test by the end of today.
Sure, no problem. I think most important thing is to get a API reviewer on this.
Yeah, I should have the dependencies built and pushed shortly after this call.
All right, cool. Thank you very much. Let's see, what else do we have on our agenda? I think we talked about everything. Is there anything else anyone wants to bring up?
Oh, I want to ask you, do you have any other comments on the CSI migration vSphere feature gate to beta PR?
I haven't taken a look if anyone added comments there, but I think the main thing is we need to figure out how we want to deprecate the vSphere version.
Right.
So I think
I think he has already Debian has added a release note similar to those other drivers' release notes.
yeah, so I think that's fine, but I think because this will also require like a newer version of vSphere, I think we need to add like another release note for that potentially. So
right.
I think that's the main thing we need to resolve with SIG cloud provider on like what is the best way to deprecate the vSphere version itself, not just the
Yeah.
driver.
So, I mean, do you, do we want to block this because tomorrow is the merge deadline, right? We obviously need to get the release notes, have more information on how to deprecate. But I mean, for those, if we want to get more detailed release notes, I don't know if I can get that tomorrow. So Andrew is aware of this, so we have been working on this, but I just don't know if tomorrow we can get something, that is complete. Is that
Okay?
Can we modify the? I mean, we have this basic release note.
We do have, yeah, we do have the ability to like add to the release notes before we actually release Kubernetes, so that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I think the main thing to resolve is actually like agreement from SIG cloud provider that we are going to actually deprecate the vSphere version.
Yeah, so Andrew put down the PR. He said he is actually okay not blocking this. He said, but we do need to figure out this, of course, before the release. He said we don't need to block this, but I think he put it in that on that PR. So
Okay.
we need to talk about that on the vSphere providers. They have some sub-project, vSphere provider sub-project. Maybe they have some meetings. Yeah.
I'm just wondering like what happens if say like vSphere, the sub-project meets and then decides that like, no, we can't deprecate the vSphere version, then what do we do?
Well, you also said that we said 1.21 is a planned date to remove in-tree cloud provider, but we may need to delay that, right? So you also said that, but it's just the plan.
Yeah.
We can just keep it to beta until we figure out this whether to remove or not. We definitely need to figure out. Make sure that they all agree we want to remove it, right? Otherwise, we still have it there. So I think then that way we should be fine. We're not saying that we definitely remove that immediately. Then they don't have any other solutions to work on, right?
Okay.
Can I just, sorry, maybe
Yep.
this thing belongs to the vSphere cloud provider call, but like, have we considered like exhausted the possibility of like having any kind of support in 6.7 or something? Because like this does not merely requires ESXi version change, but I was talking to Divin and it requires hardware version, and I have seen that hardware version changing a hardware version of VM requires you to rebuild the image basically. Like I know Divin is saying not always, but I have seen personally that it doesn't work always. So for many customers, it will basically mean rebuilding the entire data center. Like,
so it is not possible to backport this new API change into older versions. So that is not possible. So this we have already discussed internally, but we are considering for those customers that say they cannot upgrade. We are considering something for them to do a migration using another tool, for example, like Valara, and then because if they do a migration that way, they should still be able to stay on the older version. I think our Csi driver actually supports 6.7 U3, not I believe U3 and higher. So yeah, so if they can keep that version and move up to Csi driver, but not using this CSI migration tool, then they can still use the Csi driver. So that's something that we are still we need to validate that path. So that's something that we are looking at. What people have already tested. There are some migration paths they have tested. Just have not finalized that yet. But we are looking at those. But
because 7.0 almost nobody's using it, and
it's pretty new.
Yeah, it's pretty new, and 6.7 U3 CSI driver already work. So I don't see like from outside, I don't see why 6.7 U3 cannot support migration. But the problem is that like right out of the gate, there's a CSI driver that works on on 6.7 cannot work. 6.7 U3 cannot work on 7.0. So
Yeah,
it's
so
like
so there is a particular fix. That particular fix, they just can't. It's like a new feature. There's no way for them to backport that to your older version. So we cannot rely on that particular fix on the feature. So, but we are thinking about like using another tool to migrate. So not the CSI migration tool, but we have to rely on another migration tool to migrate it from.
That tool may work for you, but not for the other Kubernetes vendors. It's not that easy.
The one problem that I had was like, like right now, nobody has any reason to use CSI vSphere driver. Not in the sense like actually customers want to use, but the problem is if we are going to deprecate and mark 6.7 U3 also unsupported, then why will anybody use vSphere CSI driver on 6.7 U3?
We didn't say that's not supported. That is supported if you don't need to, if you never need to use the entry driver, you can just go ahead and use 6.7 U3. That works.
But most users who will run on 6.7 U3 will probably use a mixture of both. And if they're saying, okay, the entry to this thing requires 7.0, then they may as well wait for 7.0 U1 to use CSI driver.
Yeah, if they
know
have
what I'm
not,
saying.
Well, if they can upgrade, then yeah, that makes sense. But if they cannot upgrade, right, then they may need to use the two versions. Because, right, if they can upgrade, of course, they always want to use the new one that has more features, right? Yeah. So, so that's really because that thing, there was no way to backport that we know. But we can. So if they say that they can, maybe this driver just have to stay there for some time, the entry driver, then we can't remove it 1.21, right? So, but we also have already told customers that we will have the CSI migration in beta in 1.19. So that's also kind of communicated. So,
yeah, I mean, that makes sense. 6.5 or 6. Other version, that makes sense. The main concern, like from mind, is like, yeah, what Jan said one, but the second one is like why will anybody try to use CSI on 6.7 U3, the current version?
There are customers using. We do have customers using that already.
Yeah, sure, but they have mixed. They have mixed version. They have some volume CSI, some entry, and these users will not be able to upgrade.
So if they are already using CSI, then they don't have to migrate, right? So, but if they are using entry, those need to migrate, and then if they cannot upgrade, then that's about what I'm saying, that we are looking at another migration tool to migrate that, because it's just
So I think the main thing is we need to work with SIG provider to like actually figure out the deprecation period and the timing of things. So like we probably can't say that we're going to remove the entry plugin in 1.21 if it's also going to require people to upgrade their vSphere versions. So we would probably have to extend that period out longer.
Yeah, makes sense.
To give people time to be able to upgrade. So I think like the timing of that, we still need to sort of work out. And I think we need to work with the SIG cloud provider to like, actually figure out what that timing is.
Yeah, the 121 timing, if we put it in release notes now, it will cause panic, I'm afraid.
Okay, so maybe should we just remove it for now, and then only say, just only mention that, this is migration, this is available in this release, but then we can modify this to add more details later. So, but
yeah, I think by the time we actually release 1.19, I think we need to decide on the timing of this.
Yeah,
and
the
we need
removal.
to figure out the right deprecation message.
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
Okay, but anyway, I'll take another look at the PR, but I'm trying to also discuss with SIG cloud provider folks as well, because I want to make sure we kind of have we're all aligned on the same message.
Right, so is it possible that we remove other cloud providers first, or is that, do everyone have
Yeah.
to align? Okay, because I see.
I think it's
there's
fine.
already-
Every cloud provider can go on its own timing, can
Okay.
remove themselves, yeah.
Yeah, because those messages are already there are a few drivers already has this deprecation message, right, saying it's 2000.
Yeah.
1.21.
And that was because that was following the year, the
Okay.
1 year deprecation policy. So I think they
Okay.
went beta in 117. So 1 year from that was 121.
Okay. Sure. Yeah. Okay.
All right, sounds good. Any other topics? All right, then one for today. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.